Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking into something that, well, initially it looked like a huge deal for India, a massive win, even. Picture this. The U.S. president makes this high-profile offer, maybe unofficial, but still, the F-35 Lightning II, one of the world's absolute top stealth fighters.
Yeah, you'd expect a big celebration, right? Quick acceptance.
Exactly. But here's the twist. Fast forward just 4 months, and that whole historic offer, the F-35 itself, it's kind of just sitting there, gathering dust, as reports say.
It is pretty surprising.
So our mission today is to unpack why. Why isn't this cutting-edge, fifth-gen jet? I mean, it's the gold standard, used by 20 countries. Why isn't it generating excitement in India?
Especially, like you said, given their situation, India really does have an urgent need for better air power.
Right. This whole thing, it really digs into geopolitics, some unexpected technical problems, and some really tough strategic choices for India.
And to really get this paradox, you've got to start with India's immediate neighborhood, their strategic picture. The Indian Air Force, well, they're facing a pretty serious numbers gap. They're down to about 31 fighter squadrons.
Against a target of 42, right?
Exactly. That's a big shortfall. A sanctioned strength of 42, and they're at 31. That kind of vulnerability definitely sets off alarm bells in New Delhi.
And it's not just the numbers in isolation, is it? It's who their neighbors are.
Precisely. You look at Pakistan, India's, well, arch rival. After that short conflict back in May, they apparently got 40 J-35 stealth fighters from China. Emergency basis.
Wow, 40 jets. That's a significant shift.
It's a potential game changer, absolutely. And then, of course, there's China. A huge, contentious border, 3,488 kilometers long.
And China's already got fifth-gen capabilities.
They've got 2 operational fifth-gen jets, the J-20 Mighty Dragon, over 200 of those fielded, and the J-35 multi-role fighter as well.
And weren't the J-20s spotted near the Indian border?
Yeah, that's particularly worrying for India. After that bloody clash on the line of actual control, the LAC, back in June 2020, J-20s were deployed along the northern border.
So you put that all together. By next year, both of India's main adversaries could have these advanced jets.
That capability gap just widens even more. It's the kind of scenario that, yeah, has definitely, as one source put it, rung alarm bells in Delhi.
Okay, so the need is crystal clear. Urgent, even. Yet this F-35 offer still meets hesitation.
And, believe it or not, one very concrete reason for that hesitation comes from this really public, almost bizarre incident. It gave India, let's say, first-hand experience with the F-35.
Ah, you mean the stranded British F-35? That story's wild.
Exactly. The curious case of the stranded British F-35B.
So walk us through that. June 14th, right? A British F-35B makes an emergency landing in Thiruvananthapuram, India. Why? And why couldn't it just leave?
Well, it was sort of a perfect storm. First, really bad weather, and it was running low on fuel. Couldn't get back to its carrier, the HMS Prince of Wales.
Okay, that happens, but then...
Then, a persistent hydraulic problem cropped up, and that's kept it grounded. It's been stuck there for, nearly 2 weeks now? More than 10 days, anyway?
And they can't fix it.
Well, the Royal Navy technicians who were there, they tried. No luck. So now they're expecting a big expert team, like 40 people from the UK, plus some U.S. personnel are supposed to come help.
And if they can't fix it?
If they can't fix it on the tarmac, they're looking at a really complex option.
Yeah.
Basically packing it up and flying the whole jet out inside a transport aircraft.
Fly the entire jet out. That's not involved. And I heard something about India maybe charging them rent.
Yeah, apparently India is mulling charging UK parking fee for the long stay. Adds a bit of diplomatic spice to it, doesn't it?
Huh. A whole new meaning to being grounded.
It does. But seriously, this incident, yeah, it's unusual, but it gave India this very direct, very real look at the technical headaches that can come with maintaining this aircraft. That kind of, up-close experience. It's definitely going to weigh heavily on the minds of Indian policymakers.
That makes sense. So this very specific maintenance headache ties into the bigger picture, right? The F-35 program, it seems to have these global woes, massive costs, and some real geopolitical strings attached.
Exactly. I mean, the F-35 program is famously just incredibly expensive, one of the costliest aircraft programs ever. The projection now, according to the U.S. Government Accountability Office, is over $2 trillion over its lifetime.
$2 trillion. Wow.
That kind of number, it naturally makes people, even close allies, pretty skeptical.
And it's not just the money, is it? There's this other layer.
Yeah.
The control aspect. Keeping your tech independent.
Right. You see this with Canada. They ordered 88 F-35As back in 2023. First batch is due next year.
But they're having second thoughts.
Well, they're reconsidering the rest of the order. Why? Escalation in diplomatic tensions with the Trump administration is how it's described. Plus, their own parliamentary budget office warned back in November 2023 about severe price escalation. But a key worry for them and others is the U.S. potentially weaponizing its control by blocking access to spare parts, software upgrades, basically holding the keys to the aircraft's operation. Their prime minister, Mark Carney, even mentioned they still have options on subsequent aircraft. It shows they're keeping alternatives open.
So the U.S. potentially having too much control. Is Canada alone in feeling this way?
Oh, definitely not. Look at Portugal. They just scrapped their plans for F-35s entirely early this year.
Okay.
Denmark ordered 27, but then in March, the chair of their Parliamentary Defense Committee, Rasmus Jarlov, basically said he regretted the decision.
Why the regret?
Same concern, amplified. Worries about a potential U.S. kill switch. And that fear got louder because of tensions over Trump's comments about wanting to buy Greenland. It highlighted that dependency.
Right, the Greenland thing, I remember that.
Even Germany, they confirmed an order for 35 jets in 2022, but now they're facing public pressure at home to rethink it. And Switzerland is actually disputing the final price for their 36 jets with the U.S. right now, saying a diplomatic solution must be sought.
So it's a pattern.
Yeah.
Cost, control, dependency. These issues keep popping up.
It's not just about the aircraft's capabilities anymore. It's the whole package, the long-term relationship, the potential vulnerabilities.
Okay, so we have India's urgent need, this very public grounding, giving them a taste of maintenance issues, and now we see even traditional allies getting, well, cold feet over cost and control. So what are India's own experts saying? The IAF veterans, the strategists, are they all pushing for the F-35 despite these concerns?
Not really, no. It's actually quite a lukewarm response overall, even among former Indian Air Force personnel. And the opinions are pretty diverse.
Okay, like what?
Well, take squadron leader Vijender K. Thakur. He's retired. He makes the case that Russia's Su-57 might actually be more apt for India.
The Su-57. Why that one?
His argument is interesting. He says for the same amount of money, India could probably buy significantly more Su-57.
Quantity has a quality of its own.
Right, and potentially with lower operating costs, too. He suggests the Su-57 could be just as effective as the F-35 against the kinds of stealth fighters India's adversaries might field, and a larger fleet would give them greater stealth strike capability.
But there are caveats.
Oh, yeah. He adds that the F-35 might be better if India is okay with an increased U.S. presence at its air bases and feels confident that future U.S. sanctions will not be a concern. But he really stresses considering the high costs and the American unreliability.
American unreliability, that's a strong phrase. Is he alone in leaning toward the Su-57?
No, Air Marshal Sanjeev Kapoor, also retired, seems to favor it too.
And his reasoning?
He points to compatibility. He says the Su-57 has a lot of compatibility with our equipment, weapons, radars, and other systems already in use by India.
So easier integration?
Potentially, yes. He even states, in many parameters, it is better than the F-35. He grants the F-35 is state-of-the-art, sure, but feels the Su-57 ticks more boxes in many ways, for India specifically. And it's worth noting, both jets were actually flown at the Aero India show, so people got to look at them side by side. Okay,
so we've got two senior voices suggesting the Russian alternative might be a better fit. Is there a third way being discussed? Anyone saying neither?
Absolutely. Group Captain Ajay Alawat, another retired IAF veteran and analyst, takes a completely different view.
What's his take?
He thinks India should stay away from both the F-35 and Su-57. Full stop.
Both. So what then?
His focus is inwards. He strongly believes India needs to double down on its own indigenous program, the Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, the AMCA.
The homegrown option.
Exactly. He puts it very bluntly. Unfortunately, we have only two bad choices, the F-35 and the Su-57. The only good choice is the AMCA. He's calling for a real national mission mode push to get the AMCA developed and fielded.
So a real split in opinion among the experts themselves. Go American, go Russian, or go it alone.
Pretty much. And you layer onto that the current frosty relationship between the U.S. and India, particularly mentioned were Trump's tariffs. It just adds another level of complication to making this F-35 decision.
Right. Which brings us right back to where we started, this F-35 paradox.
India desperately needs advanced fighters. The threats are real, the squadron numbers are low. But this offer, the F-35, arguably the world's best, it's met with hesitation.
Because of a perfect storm, really.
Yeah, a convergence of factors. That first-hand glimpse of maintenance reality with the British jet.
The global worries about the F-35's staggering cost. And those strings attached, the control issues.
And the divided opinions within India's own defense community, some preferring Russia, others pushing for self-reliance.
So this F-35 issue in India, it's really a case study, isn't it?
It absolutely is. It's about much more than just one aircraft. It's about how nations navigate this really tricky balance between immediate security needs and the long-term, sometimes hidden, costs of relying on foreign technology. That whole tension between capability now versus sovereignty and cost later.
It's incredibly complex, and it leaves you wondering, doesn't it? In today's world, with military tech getting so advanced and so expensive and alliances always seeming to shift, how do nations make these choices? How do you weigh today's defense needs against tomorrow's technological independence and financial burden? What really stands out to you in this intricate dance of defense and diplomacy?